Hello and welcome to the Safety Around Wildlife presentation as part of the AME Introduction to Exploration Safety short course series. My name is Abby, and as you may have already picked up on, I do not sound typically Canadian. I'm originally from New Zealand, and as a disclaimer, I must point out a funny eccentricity of the New Zealand accent before I start. We pronounce bear and bear the same. So for the purposes of this presentation, I'm speaking about the large animal and not a pint. I'm currently working as the Site and Operations Manager for a junior mining company out of Sparwood, BC, and I'm lucky enough to live and work in a beautiful area of BC that is filled with a huge variety of animals, including black bears, grizzlies, wolves, cougars, lynx, moose, you name it, it's around here. During this presentation, my main focus will be on bear safety, as these are the animals that are probably going to present the most significant hazard to you when you're out in the bush. However, I will also discuss other large animals that you could encounter and how to safely work in their environment. First, I'll discuss our friend the black bear, as you can see here. The black bear is the most widely distributed bear in North America. However, it's only found in North America. There is an estimated 800,000 black bears in North America, of which 120 to 160,000 of them live here in BC. Black bears are highly adaptable. They prefer forested areas. However, they can live in other environments such as wetlands and marshes, and can also be successful in and around urban areas. The black bear's conservation status is mostly stable. However, there are some subspecies of black bear that are threatened in their respective habitats due to habitat loss from human development, overhunting, and accidents involving both road vehicles and rail. Black bears are the smallest of the bear species found in North America. They range from around 50 to 80 inches or 127 to around 2 meters from nose to tail, and around 2 to 3 feet high on all fours. Adult males can weigh between 125 to 550 pounds or 57 kilos to 250 kilos. Adult females can weigh between 90 to 375 pounds or 40 to 170 kilos. Black bears are omnivorous animals, meaning they will eat pretty much anything. Their diet typically includes berries, grass, roots, fruits, nuts, insects, fish, small mammals and birds, and they may prey on newborn moose, deer, or elk. The name black bear can be somewhat deceiving. Despite being named the black bear, their coats have more color variation than almost any other mammal in North America. Other than black, they can be brown or cinnamon. You can see a picture there. Blue, which is also known as a glacier bear, and white or blonde, which is known as a spirit bear. Black bears can live up to 30 years in the wild. However, they can live longer in captivity. And also an interesting point, bears are not true hibernators, as they do not enter a true deep sleep for the winter months. Instead of hibernation, they experience a similar survival tactic called torpor. During this time, their body temperature, breathing rate, heart rate, and metabolic rate lower. Bears usually retreat into dens during the winter months, may dig a burrow and fill it with leaves for bedding, may use rock crevices, hollows in roots, or above ground nests. And the length of the bear's torpor or light hibernation is dependent on food supply and geography. Now we have the mighty brown bear. Brown bears have the widest range of bear species. They can be found in North America, Asia, and Europe, and they've previously inhabited North Africa and the Middle East, so quite a wide distribution. North America is approximately 52,000 brown bears, of which half are found in Canada, around 25,000, with 15,000 of those found in BC. You can see their present day distribution in the darker color on the map there on the left, which covers much of Western and Northern Canada. Brown bears can be known by a variety of different names. They are often called the grizzly bear, Pacific Coast brown bear, or Kodiak bear. However, the grizzly bear and the Kodiak bear are subspecies of the brown bear. Grizzlies occur inland, and Kodiak bears, otherwise known as Alaskan brown bears, occur in coastal areas and are the largest subspecies of the brown bear. The brown bear's conservation status is of least concern, and even though the brown bear's range has shrunk and it has faced local extinctions, its population is relatively stable. The size and weight. As with the black bears, the size between the male and the female bears vary quite a lot. The male brown bear, or boar, can range between 300 and 860 pounds, or 130 to 390 kilos. The female brown bear, or sow, can range between 200 and 450 pounds, or 90 kilos to 200 kilos. However, Kodiak bears can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. So quite large. When standing on all fours, brown bears measure 3.5 feet and 6 to 7 feet while upright on their hind legs. The Kodiaks can stand up to 5 feet when on all fours and up to 10 feet on their hind legs. Although they are omnivores like black bears, brown bears are considered apex predators. They commonly eat roots, berries, nuts, fish, as well as hunting for moose, elk, deer, caribou, mountain sheep and goats, and their calves and carrion, or dead animals. However, 80% of their diet may be vegetation. Just like the black bear, brown bears can come in a variety of colours. Their fur can be whitish blonde, red, or black, in addition to the typical dark brown colour. Grizzly bear fur tips are white, giving them a frosted or grizzled appearance, hence the name grizzly bear. Brown bears typically live 20 to 25 years in the wild. They are in a state of torpor, like the black bear, for 5 to 8 months each year, beginning in the fall, with their cubs born during these months. They are primarily solitary, with the exception of breeding and cub rearing. Groups may congregate in areas of high food availability. So how can we differentiate black bears from brown bears? Don't rely on size and colour to make an identification. Size is relative, and both species range in colour from black to blonde, as mentioned in previous slides. Characteristics that can be used to differentiate them. The presence of absence of a shoulder hump. Black bears have no shoulder hump, while grizzlies have a pronounced shoulder hump. The shape of their ears. Black bears have tall ears, while grizzlies have short, rounded ears. Their profile. Black bears have a straight nose profile, while grizzlies have a dished profile. And their prints and claws. Black bears have short claws, but grizzlies have long claws. You can see in the picture there. So here are a couple of bears caught on some of our wildlife cameras that we have around our site. You note the shoulder hump, so you can identify that it's a grizzly. So black bears and grizzly bears have distinct footprints. Once you know what you're looking for, you can distinguish which bear is in your area. So black bears have shorter claws and their toes are more separated and curved. They are better designed for climbing trees. Grizzly bears have much longer claws and their claw marks will be further from the foot. Their toes are closer together and less curved. Their claws are designed for digging up roots of plants and a variety of rodents that live underground. Although the long claws are not well suited for climbing, don't be fooled, grizzlies can still climb trees quite well. An easy trick to differentiate them is to draw a line below their toe pads. If the line is straight below the toes, it's a grizzly. If the line cuts through the toe imprints, it's a black bear. So common signs that a bear has been in or is currently in the area: tracks in the snow or mud, claw marks on trees, stumps, or signs of digging. There may be upturned stumps and things like that looking for bugs. Scat or bear poop. It can range in colour depending on the time of year. During berry season, you'll see poop filled with berries and seeds. like the picture included on this slide. The polar bears. Polar bears are a bear in which I have not seen in the wild, and I'm quite okay with it, but they deserve a mention as they are a bear that calls Canada home. Canada is home to approximately 16,000 of the estimated 20 to 25,000 polar bears in global polar regions. They live in Arctic regions and are considered a marine mammal due to the fact that they spend a large portion of their life at sea. Their conservation status is vulnerable, meaning they are likely to become endangered unless the circumstances that are threatening its survival and reproduction improve. The size and weight of polar bears. The male polar bear, or the boar, can weigh between 775 to 1,550 pounds. The sow can range from 330 to 550 pounds, so they're quite large. Polar bears are considered hypercarnivorous, meaning more than 70% of their diet is meat. They primarily eat ringed and bearded seals. However, they may also eat small animals and plants such as berries, roots, and kelp. There have been 7 fatal polar bear attacks in North America since 1980. Of these 7 fatalities, 2 occurred in 2 different zoos in New York City. Bear attacks in North America. Just a look at some statistics for context. Since 2008, there have been 43 fatalities caused by black and brown bear attacks. 18 from black bears and 25 from brown bears or grizzlies. In North America, this is up to 7 people per year, with an average of just around 3 per year. This is relatively low compared to other causes of death. So for perspective, 48 people die per year, an average of anaphylactic shock caused by bee stings. Dogs kill an average of 30 people per year. And in 2018, 1,922 people died in motor vehicle accidents in Canada. So it's quite rare. Between the year 2000 and 2015, there were a total of 664 brown bear attacks worldwide, which include North America, Europe, and Asia. These percentages demonstrate the variety of scenarios that an attack victim was engaged in. As you can see, the majority of attacks involve the victim being alone or engaged in some kind of leisure activity, with encounters with female and cubs coming in a close third. Mineral exploration accident statistics show that there have been 5 serious bear incidents in BC and the Yukon involving exploration survey personnel in the last 40 years, including 4 fatalities and 1 serious mauling. Although not in exploration, it is worth a mention that the latest black bear fatality in Canada is in a similar working environment to exploration. The victim worked for a helicopter company which provided transportation for tree planters, and while she was at work, she was attacked and killed by an adult female black bear. So exploration personnel and bears. 2 drill helpers have been killed by bears in BC, one in 1987 and one in 2002. In 1987, a driller was working alone, laying a water line in the late evening when he was attacked and killed by a grizzly bear. He did not have radio communication, a rifle, bear spray, or a noisemaker at the time. And in 2002, an Alberta oil rig worker was killed in northern BC after he walked into the back of a trailer near the drill rig where he was working with a 5-man crew. His co-workers heard a scream and saw the black bear dragging the victim towards the bushes. They threw objects at the bear, which had eventually been scared off. Then they attempted first aid. However, the victim sustained serious head and neck injuries. And after an attack, the bear returned twice before being scared off for good. Delays due to weather meant he was transported to Fort Nelson by ambulance instead of helicopter, and he was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. 1 bear was killed, but it wasn't certain if it was the right bear. And also in 2005, 100 kilometers southeast of Prince George in BC, a female brown bear and 2 cubs attacked a lone man on a remote forestry road. He was walking back to his gold mining camp after his car broke down. And in 2006, an incident occurred near the Ross River in Yukon. there was a worker that was mauled while staking mineral claims. He unknowingly walked right past a bear den containing a sow and 2 cubs. Lastly, in 1985, 2 exploration geologists were traversing up a creek when they surprised a female grizzly and 2 cubs. The bear then attacked one of them. The victim assumed the fetal position to protect themselves. The second geologist scared the bear off with a rock pick and rocks. Injuries included severe lacerations to the head and neck, requiring skin grafts with a total of 94 lost workdays. So contributing factors to this incident included the pair walking over a recent buried kill. And other incidents outside BC and the Yukon included an incident in June 2017. 2 workers were attacked while collecting soil samples near a gold mine in Alaska. The attack resulted in 1 death and 1 injury. After an investigation, it was found that an adult black bear stalked them, or a predatory attack. It came up behind them and attacked. The attack happened so fast that they didn't initially have time to deploy their bear spray. The injured worker eventually sprayed her bear spray twice, which likely saved her life, with the bear returning twice before being scared off. So, what can we learn from past bear attacks? By determining common themes in bear attacks, we can better recognize the situations and hopefully prevent bear-human interaction when possible. These common themes are working alone, no bear deterrent, no communication, and a lack of noise, and a lack of situational awareness, meaning individuals were unaware of their surroundings. So considering that we spend long periods of time in the wilderness, statistics suggest that exploration personnel are good at keeping out of trouble with bears. So why is this? It comes down to training and awareness. Bear awareness and avoidance techniques are ingrained in the exploration culture, as well as widespread use of bear deterrents such as bear spray. How do we stay safe in bear country? An encounter is best avoided, but in the likely event of it occurring, there are ways to deter the bear. Firearms. Firearms are considered a possible bear deterrent. The Canadian Criminal Code and the Firearm Act govern the possession, transportation, and storage of firearms. You must be 18 years or older and acquire a PAL, or a possession and acquisition license. However, not all companies allow firearms, so ask your employer about its gun policy for firearms in camp and for personal use in the field. They will most likely require additional specialist training. It is also important to remember that shooting a bear is the last resort, especially if you don't have the best aim. Use all other deterrents first. Just like bear spray. Bear spray is an aerosolized deterrent with active ingredients, including capsaicin and related capsaicinoids. So basically, it's a concentrated chili pepper. Bear spray should only be used if you are charged by a bear or other wild animal. Don't use it immediately if you encounter a bear. Give the bear a chance to remove itself from the situation. Bear spray affects the bear's mouth, throat, nose, lungs, eyes, and ears almost immediately. And this goes without saying, but never spray yourself, your clothing, or your tent. Doing so could actually attract a bear to the scent and will in general not be a very pleasant experience for you. Well, a quick how-to on how to use bear spray. You want to remove the safety clip. This keeps the bear spray from being triggered accidentally. It's usually bright orange. If you encounter a bear, it is a good idea to get your bear spray ready and remove it from the safety clip, just in case it charges. Always keep the bear spray in an easily accessible location, not inside your backpack. Place your thumb in front of the curled lip, point the canister downwards, and then push down the trigger when ready to spray. Hold the canister firmly in your hand so that it doesn't tilt up when you deploy the spray. You don't want to spray yourself. Remember, you don't have to precisely aim your bear spray, just direct it slightly downward in front of the charging bear. You can see a picture there, how the correct way to use the bear spray is slightly pointed down. If you point it upwards like the incorrect version, it will just spray it above the bear, so it won't be as effective. Other common deterrents include noisemakers, such as bear bangers. These make a loud gunshot style noise, or air horns. I'm sure you're all aware of how loud an air horn can be. These are best used when a bear is at a distance. Make sure the surroundings are clear of people and the bear has an obvious way out. Don't throw the bear banger behind the bear. It may scare it towards you. So which is better, firearms or bear spray? A study looking at bear spray incidents that occurred in Alaska from 1985 to 2006 found that bear spray stopped the undesirable behavior 90% of the time. 98% of persons carrying spray during attack were uninjured by bears' close range encounter. And all bear-inflicted injuries were minor. Investigations from the US Fish and Wildlife Service found that human and on bear encounters in the US since 1992 found that persons encountering grizzlies and defending themselves with firearms suffered injury about 50% of the time. During the same period, those using bear spray escaped injury 98% of the time. And remember, a person can become effective at defending themselves with bear spray much easier and much quicker than a firearm if they're not familiar. According to Canadian bear biologist, Dr. Stephen Herrero, no deterrent is 100% effective, but compared to all others, including firearms, proper use of bear spray has proven the best method of fending off threatening and attacking bears and for preventing injury to the person and animals involved. How do we stay safe in bear country? An encounter is best avoided, but in the unlikely event of it occurring, what should you do? Recognizing the difference between the types of bear encounters will alter the way in which you respond. Defensive encounters. These situations usually come from a sudden encounter with a bear at close range, such as a food cache or carcass, or with young. Defensive confrontations rarely lead to contact. However, the bear may bluff charge you as a warning to leave the area. A bluff charge is when a bear will bound on its front paws towards you, but then stop short and veer off to one side. A bear may also stand on its hind legs. It is not being aggressive. It is trying to see, hear, and smell you better in order to identify who and what you are. Predatory attacks are extremely rare. A bear that continues to approach, follow, disappear, or show stalking behaviors may be considering you as prey. If a bear approaches you, what should you do? Watch its mannerisms. Is it curious, defensive, or aggressive? If a bear chomps its jaw, slaps the ground, they feel threatened. Try slowly moving away. Do not turn and run. Back up slowly, facing the bear. You will not be able to outrun a bear. If it continues to approach, stand your ground. Extend your arms and speak in a calm voice. Prepare to use any bear deterrents that you have. If it continues to approach, use deterrent. If it's a defensive attack, play dead, face down, pack on, legs apart, and hands locked behind your neck. Don't move until the bear is left. This is obviously if the bear has attacked you. If it's a predatory attack, however, you want to fight back. Use all tools available, a knife, rock, hammer, anything like that to try and place something between you and the bear. So the best encounter is one you avoid. Work in pairs when possible and make as much noise as possible. Be aware of areas that are heavily used by bears, such as animal trails. Danger zones include running water, thick bush, and areas of strong wind. Remember, if you can't hear them, they can't hear you. Be aware of bear signs like the ones mentioned earlier in the presentation, such as scat, tracks, signs of grazing, overturned logs, claw marks on trees. And be mindful of berry season, which is usually late summer and early fall. Adjust your plans as needed to work around in berry zones. You always want to pack out what you pack in. Never leave any garbage behind, even organics. These are attractants that once a bear is eaten, they will associate with food and humans. Keep all garbage properly sealed and secured in a bear-proof container and incinerate at least 200 meters from camp. You also want to set up a check-in schedule and an emergency contact and ensure that you have a reliable means of communication. For example, a radio or satellite device such as an InReach. And carry bear spray and know how to use it. If you're using a helicopter for drop-off, you're also able to fly your route and check for bear activity in the area. But basically, you want to remain vigilant and always pay attention to your surroundings when in bear country. So, what other large animals should you be aware of when working in the great outdoors? Wolves. Wolf attacks are extremely rare. Since 1900, there have only been 2 verified wolf-caused deaths in North America. In November 2005, a worker in northern Saskatchewan left camp for a walk. He was about 1 kilometre away from camp when it appears he was stalked and killed by a pack of wolves. And in March 2010, at least two wolves chased down a jogger in Alaska. After investigation, it was found that she went around a curve in the road. She abruptly turned and to run back. It is believed that she came face to face with the wolves and turned and ran from them. This may have triggered their instinct to chase. After she was knocked down, she was dragged into the forest where she died. No evidence of defensive attack. 8 wolves were culled, 2 matched the DNA on their clothing. Wolves, just like bears, can become food habituated, which will increase the potential for wolf-human interactions. Never feed wolves. Do not approach them, and keep children and nearby pets leashed. So unsure how well you can see this, but this is from a wildlife camera on the nearby TCE pipeline. The first image on the top left there, you see a large moose coming into the frame. The second shows the wolf latching onto its hinds there. And the third is when the wolf has actually taken down the moose. So we have quite a few wolves around here. And we were quite lucky to get that on camera. It's quite rare. Last year we captured a pack of 5 wolves on our cameras, which is pretty neat. So there's definitely lots of them around in southern BC. Cougars. Cougars are secretive and elusive, with attacks on humans being very, very rare, with only 27 fatal attacks in the past 100 years. They can jump 30 feet from a standstill and up to 20 feet up a cliffside and can run very, very fast. They often hide behind bushes, logs, or rock outcrops, and usually leave an area when they hear people approaching. So attack encounters are extremely rare. However, if you repeatedly sight a cougar or it appears to be following you, it is acting in a predatory manner. They are often attracted to livestock and smaller prey, such as pets, and in some instances, children. And cougar attacks have occurred in my local area on dogs when out hiking. So there was 3 dog attacks last year from cougars. So if you encounter a wolf or cougar, it's a slightly different approach than if you would encounter a bear. So you want to maintain eye contact and speak in a loud voice. Reinforce the fact that you're human and not an easy target. And you want to back out of the area. As with a bear, never ever run. This will engage their prey drive and they will chase you. If they are aggressive, maintain eye contact. Yell and make loud noises. Make yourself appear as big as possible. If it attacks, fight back. focus on facial and eye areas. And you want to use rocks, sticks, bear spray, whatever you have at hand to defend yourself. You want to convince them that you are a threat and not prey. So lastly, I'm going to discuss our friend the moose. I think it's important to discuss moose in a wildlife safety presentation, as I've personally had more dangerous encounters with moose than any other large animal in the bush. They are big and quite intimidating when they're not happy. Moose are the largest members of the deer family and the tallest land mammal found in North America. Adult male moose, or a bull moose, can weigh between 400 and 600 kilos and grow to a height of over 2 meters. This big guy here on the slide was caught on one of our wildlife cameras. Females, or cows as they're known, tend to be smaller, ranging in weight from 300 to 500 kilos, so still quite large. They are also one of the most widely distributed ungulates, so hoofed animal, in British Columbia, found across almost the entire interior of the province. Their sizes also vary depending on the location. Northern moose tend to be larger than their southern counterparts. And in BC, moose mate from September to November. This is termed the rut. Bull moose during this time may be aggressive towards humans. So it's good to take note of that when you're out in the bush at that time. And also in late spring and summer, cow moose with young calves are very protective and will attack humans who come too close. There's also another more indirect hazard, and that is vehicle collisions. As moose are large animals, vehicle-moose collisions are the biggest threat to human safety. They can be also quite hard to spot in the dark from personal experience. So what should you do if you come across a moose in the bush? You never want to approach a moose. If you do encounter a moose, you should stay as far back as possible and give the animal a wide berth. Make sure the moose always has an escape route so it doesn't feel trapped. Female moose with calves require a lot of space. Moose cows are very, very protective of their young and may attack if they perceive a threat. If you come across a cow and calf, calmly leave the area immediately. And just like any other animals in the wild, dogs and moose do not mix, especially cow moose with their calves. As my dog Foxy can attest to that, they do not like dogs. So how do you spot where the moose feels threatened? When a moose feels threatened, it may lower its head and flatten its ears before charging. If you find these areas, if you see these behaviors, find an escape route, do not run. If a moose does charge you, getting inside a nearby building or car is the safest option, but hiding behind a large tree or other solid object may effectively block the charge. And you want to leave the area as calmly as possible. Once again, don't run, just quietly walk away and give the moose a wide berth. That's all from me. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay safe out there and give those animals lots of space.